After Monkey D. Luffy awakened his Devil Fruit ability, becoming Joy Boy, yes, the inherited will of Joy Boy from the Void Century, and then going on to beat the man, the Yonko Kaido, in a 1v1. Well, cough, cough. It wasn't really a 1v1 if you count the Red Scabbards battle, the Zoro battle, the Eustace Kid, Law, Killer, even the son or daughter, whatever you want to call Yamato battle between Kaido. You can even add in Momonosuke, who we found out in Egghead Island has the exact same Devil Fruit as Kaido. Literally, the only difference is the color. Yeah, so maybe it was more of a 1v15 rather than a 1v1. But you know what I mean, people have been forgetting what this beast was capable. He was known as the strongest creature alive for a reason, and I don't blame them with recent stuff like Shanks just showcasing his sword a little bit, conquers Haki from outside the island, making an admiral freeze up. That is wild. And you have to understand, yes, Shanks did the Greenbull, but to defend Kaido a bit, Greenbull said if Kaido was there, he would have never pulled up. So Greenbull gave some respect to Kaido, but just that we've seen it with Shanks. Or the whole situation, of course, of Blackbeard low diffing Boa Hancock, who Boa Hancock was a strong warlord. So Blackbeard to do that was pretty respectful as a Yonko. And then later on, mid-diffing Law, who was a 3 billion berry bounty coming off a Big Mom win with the help of Kid. And speaking of Kid, another awakening like Law went up against Shanks. And Shanks low diffed Kid. Yeah, Shanks low diffed Kid. So a lot of people looking at Blackbeard, Shanks, and like they're trying to move on from the whole Kaido Wano. But I feel like you can't deny what we witnessed in Wano. Yes, we're seeing mythical zones and Saturn do like amazing things, like some pseudo conquerors Haki level attacks. And yes, we know there's 4 other powerful Gorosei with mythical zones as well. And then of course there's the king of the world, Imu, who sits on the empty throne. That's also probably a mythical zone of some sort. Yeah, I know. I see it too, guys. I'm reading the story One Piece as well. But you have to understand, look how Luffy after Wano. After Wano, Luffy has buffs. Of course, after every arc, Luffy gets stronger. So Luffy is stronger right now currently than he was in Wano. And we've seen against Rob Lucci where he wasn't even coding his attacks with Conqueror's Haki. Gear 5th was making almost knocked out Rob Lucci in his awakened form. And then of course Kizaru, one good name attack was all it needed for Kizaru to be neutralized in the Egghead Island arc. That's an admiral. If you think about it, Luffy hit that same attack on Kaido. Maybe it was a little bit different because it was a name, but still on Kaido, and Kaido got back up. Yes, he got sent to the ground, but he got back up. So there's definitely some indication how devastatingly powerful Kaido is compared to Kizaru and Rob Lucci. There's levels to these things. Like the man literally introduced himself jumping off a sky island. We always knew Kaido was a monster durability wise, but just seeing the confirmations after Wano is amazing. So I think on today's video, I'll do a deep dive on the man known as Kaido. I am going to begin with Kaido's Devil Fruit ability. Our first glimpse of Kaido's Devil Fruit ability showcased a mythical Zoan, the dragon. The fruit's first ability was the Blast Breath, a signature of dragons being fire breathing beast, and Kaido destroyed Odin's castle. Something that is rarely talked about is the other element known as lightning that Kaido pulled off with just him roaring. And the same way he's able to fly is the same way he can carry an entire island as seen with Onigashima using just flame clouds. We also learn how Kaido obtained this amazing Devil Fruit ability, which is when rocks fell and Big Mom gifted it to him, the fish fruit mythical model. Kaido also has the attack known as Demolition Gust, these invisible cutting attacks using the wind. And even better is his Dragon Twitcher, which Zoro stated Kaido to be a natural disaster. Also his Dragon Twister Demolition Breath, which is just a stronger move of the previous one I just mentioned. Now Kaido's Devil Fruit ability is a Zoan, so you know he has different types of forms, and his strongest form is his hybrid form or man beast form. While in this hybrid form he can do the previous mentioned Blast Breath, he has the thunderous arrow technique that overpowered his son Yamato. Of course, many of you are probably thinking, what about Awakening, especially since he explained Awakening the best in the series, stating it's when your mind and body finally are able to harness the potential of your ability, Which I reply, I don't know. But looking at Kaido's Delphi ability, his strongest form is the Drum Dragon, or the Great Blazing Dragon, in which he submerges himself in magma. Keep in mind, Akaino's magma fruit is said to be the strongest offensive Delphi ability in the series. And of course, his strongest Delphi ability being the Rising Dragon Blazing Bagua, which I pretty much see as a magma Bagua instead of the Thunder Bagua we've been seeing so much from Kaido. And man, it is powerful. Now, enough of his Delphi ability. We know Kaido has confirmed that he looks at Haki greater, and whether it be Kaido splitting the skies in a Conqueror's Haki clash with his fellow Yonko Big Mom. Keep in mind, at that point in the story, only other characters to do that were Shanks and Whitebeard. Or when Law specifically stated in response to the useless kid wanting him to use Room Shambles on Kaido and Big Mom, taking them away from each other, that their Haki was just too strong. Now, Kaido's Haki has too many feats. Case in point, making Luffy's Hakied up hands hurt, or literally teaching Luffy Conqueror's Haki coding with his 3 Realms Ragnarok attack. Of course, we all went crazy when the world's strongest man Whitebeard and the Pirate King Roger clashed without touching. So to see Kaido and Luffy mimic this in their Conqueror's coding clash, wow. And this happened many times. It was not a fluke, but more so another level to combat with Kaido and Luffy. Kaido eventually beats out Luffy's Advanced Conqueror's Haki, showing he's still that dude. Kaido also had a clash of Black Lightning, aka Conqueror's Haki coding with Yamato. Kaido is also the only character to split the skies not only once, but twice, as he did it again versus Luffy. Kaido gets even more impressive when he clashes with Luffy's Advanced Conqueror's Haki, or Conqueror's Haki coding, whichever one you guys like to say, and Luffy states his Haki is getting stronger. And the icing on the cake is Kaido pulling out Future Sight like it's no big deal. I use all this evidence to say his statement about Haki reigning supreme against Delphi abilities backed up by his countless Haki feats. Now, these next 2 sections is what really makes me look at Kaido as a monster. Let's talk about his durability. Kaido has been defeated 7 times as a pirate, caught by the Marines or enemy 18 times in total. He's also been tortured time and time again, while also lived as a prisoner. His hobby is attempting suicide by jumping off a sky island. Keep in mind, they thought Big Mom would have died falling from the Whole Cake Chateau collapsing. Whether I believe that or not, that's what the Big Mom pirates believed. To repeat, he challenged the Yonko Marines and was caught 18 times while also being tortured 1,000 times. He was sentenced to death 40 times. When he was hanged, the rope snapped. When put under the guillotine, the blade cracked. When skewered, the spear broke. Even Roger went out pretty quickly when his death sentence was done. I say this as only building up his durability. Let's take a look at his actual feats though. Kaido took a Conqueror's coding attack from the monster Kozuki Oden in his prime after traveling with Whitebeard, Roger, and fighting both of these monsters and coming back from Laugh Tale. In the first fight with Luffy, we see him tank an elephant gun, and then immediately right after tanks an elephant gatling, the same move that nearly destroyed the Noah during Fishman Island. Luffy uses the Kong organ that destroyed multiple Biscuit soldiers that had Luffy in his base form. Just one Biscuit soldier had Luffy in his base form sweating. His next major fight is against the trained Oden samurai, who all attack Kaido at once. They physically damage Kaido using Ryo, which Oden taught them, something Useless Kid and Luffy couldn't do in their first encounter with the strongest creature alive. Now, me personally, I see Inuarashi, Nekomamushi in their Sulong form, Ashura Doji, Denjiro as Yonko commander level characters to quickly power scale here, and then Izo, who was a division commander in the Whitebeard Pirates for decades. I believe he's in between Yonko Commander and Flying Six, followed up by Kinemon, Kawamatsu, Raizu, and Okiku, who I think are all around Flying Six level. And Kaido fought these 9 dudes at once. We had attacks like the Crimson Cat Dance by Sulong Nekomamushi, the River of the Sea by Kawamatsu. Can't forget about our other Sulong beast, Inuarashi Canine Scrooge attack. The dual attack from the brothers Izo and Okiku called Falling Snow Scythe Slicing Rounds. Even Raizo had an impressive attack called Scroll Jitsu Blast Breath Restoration, pretty much bringing Kaido's Blast Breath right back to him. And finally, the Oden two-sword style, which is the most damage, Paradise Totsuka, Ryo based by Ashura Doji, Denjiro, Inuarashi, and Kinemon, but Kaido tanked it. His durabilities is crazy. Now I know you guys all love Roof Piece, but if you reread or rewatch, you'll notice Kaido ate everything, starting off with the red rock straight to the face by Luffy. Now this attack did alert Kaido and had him thinking about the guys who could damage him like Roxy Zebek, Whitebeard, Shanks, and Goldie Roger. And these dudes are so strong they truly can't even be scaled yet. Also Odin, who we know is nasty with it, and I might do a future video about. Kaido then goes on to take minimal damage from Killer's Beheading Claw and Zoro's Onigiri. Luffy hits him with a Kong gun that's been buffed, and yeah, he eats that too. Eustace Kid goes Punk Rotten, the similar form to Gear 4th Luffy, and follows up with a Punk Vice attack. And then Law does the icing on the cake with the tact, stacking Kaido with a bunch of rubble. We then see Luffy do a new impressive attack called Kong Rifle. Kid follows up by slamming Kaido's huge dragon form with Slam Gibson, and Law uses the same attack he severely damaged Doflamingo with Gamma Knife, and Kaido pretty much takes minimal damage from this. Killer does one of his best moves, cutting Kaido inside his scales with Scyther Sonic. And Luffy does a Rhino Schneider, which we first saw in Dressrosa, straight to Kaido. But the move which really impressed me was his Kong Gatling pummeling Kaido, and we could see Big Mom's reaction, which is complete shock, and even Eustace Kid's reaction. So yeah, Zoro steps it up with his Black Rope Dragon Twister, which manages to cut Kaido. Law does his stable injection shot, which annoys Kaido. And arguably Zoro's strongest attack, Demon 9-sword style Ashura Farce of the Dead, which is coded with Conqueror's Haki, leaves a scar on Hybrid Kaido but doesn't knock him down. But Luffy really puts it on the Conqueror's coding department, hitting Kaido with 2 devastating punches. Of course, Yamato sent out a ringing arrow attack in the mythical Makami form, following up with the Himoto Giri, which also is tanked by Kaido. Kaido then goes on to tank 2 Conqueror Haki named attack with the White Snake Rush by Yamato and Jet Culverin by Luffy's Snake Man. And even Momonosuke joins in with his new buffed dragon form thanks to Shinobu and bites Kaido. Now I know people might think that's not a big deal, but don't forget Luffy added on that attack with the advanced Conqueror's Haki punch. Now I know you guys are getting bored of me naming countless attacks Kaido tanked and with him showing no effect, but at this point he started to weaken, hence his flame clouds becoming unstable, which is more of an endurance thing than durability in all honesty. Kaido then starts to tank some of Luffy's big moves in the finale, like the Rock Gun, which is Ryo and Advanced Conqueror's Haki combined. And even when Luffy did an even stronger move in the Rock Gatling, Kaido still lets out a Gundari Meteor Shower in response. We see Snake Man again, and it's coded in Conqueror's Haki again, and the move is called Hydra. We also see Gear Force Bounce Man buffed with Conqueror's Haki with Supreme Kong Gun thrown at the strongest creature alive. Now Kaido truly gets tested about his durability with Gear 5th Luffy showing up in newly awakened mythical zone form that Joy Boy also had, the reverse blast breath sent right back to him, or when Luffy actually enters Kaido, pause, and makes his body rubber, pause, and does his patent balloon attack and bust out of Kaido, pause, I know, I'm sorry. Giant Luffy uses Kaido's huge dragon form as a jump rope, and Luffy is awakened while coded with Ryo and Conqueror's Haki and punches Kaido past his head with Gomu Gomu no something. Kaido again, while tanking a flurry of Luffy's punches, lets out a Gundari Meteor Shower, and Luffy's the strongest attack in the series, or arguably the strongest attack we've seen in the series from anybody, the Barrage Gun. Kaido decided to take it head on and even clashed with it, which to me is impressive regardless of him being overpowered in the end. His durability is stupid. Now enough of that, let's get to his raw power. What really makes Kaido a monster is his raw power, like being the strongest soldier of his country at the age of 10, or him having a 70 million berry bounty at the age of 13. Remember, Luffy had a 30 million bounty at the age of 17. Or Kaido getting captured purposely and escaping every time for a free meal. And can't forget, when he was 15 years old, Whitebeard told him Rox D. Zebek wanted to meet up with Kaido, in which he joined the Rox Pirates, making them unstoppable. People say in a one-on-one fight, always bet on Kaido. And land, sea, air, out of every living thing in the world, this pirate is said to be the strongest creature alive. Kaido's blast breath did damage on the legendary Kozuki Odin, and though Odin was distracted, the fact that one blow from Kaido put him down was always crazy to me. Don't forget, Kozuki Odin has crazy endurance. When he was being boiled for an hour while carrying the red scabbards, that even got Kaido's respect. In his regular Oni form, he one-shotted a Gear 4th Luffy coming off of the Katakuri and Cracker win with Thunder Bagua. Luffy was knocked out cold for the first time post-time skip. Fellow Worst Generation Pirates Kid and Killer also got the same treatment as said by Hawkins. Remember when the Red Scabbards were throwing out numerous Ryo attacks and Kaido got up and took Okiku's arm while breaking her sword, a swordsman's shame? He then low diffs the entire Red Scabbards with his tried and true Thunder Bagua. Or even when Kaido did a combo attack with Big Mom, Ocean Sovereignty, which could be the strongest attack in the series, up there with, of course, the Rising Dragon and the Barrage Gun, which I already talked about. I know I sound like a broken record, but his Thunder Bagua laid waste to Law and Zoro as well. And even Yamato had the after effects bleeding from that same Thunder Bagua. Or even more scarier is his laughing drunk Ragnaroku. Kaido just biting Luffy had him screaming in agony and pain, followed up with him swallowing, spitting, and blasting breath Luffy point blank. Even Guts couldn't withstand that raw power. Pause. I'm sorry, I really had to. His roaring Thunder Bagua had Luffy hurting bad. And again, the roaring Thunder Bagua hit Luffy point blank. Because of CP0 killing Luffy and arguably Luffy's worst defeat, the box came out saying Kaido won. I get why he calls it the homicidal form. Even Gear 5th Luffy took a point blank blast breath that left him burnt. Then there's 3 World Conquest Ragnaroku hitting Luffy in the face off the rooftop. And a hit from Kaido's club gave Gear 5th Luffy a club shaped head that hurt really bad, as said by Luffy. His strongest hybrid attack, Death Destroyer Thunder Bagua, really pained Gear 5th Luffy. And the icing on the cake was his Dragon Twister Demolition Breath cutting up Luffy before his Barrage Gun. Now moving on from raw power to speed, Kaido does have some feats. Like Kaido hit Luffy with the Thunder Bagua even when Future Sight was being used. Or Kaido last minute avoiding, in his huge dragon form, dodging a flying dragon blaze from Enma Zoro. And Kaido dodges a red something from Luffy. He is so fast we couldn't even get the name of the attack. The last speed feat I want to mention is him dodging a Luffy Thunderbolt attack where lightning is being thrown at him. Wow. Now we know Kaido hates the weak, which is why we see him so frustrated with Big Mom, calling her an invalid before saving Prometheus from Zoro, or him saying only Joy Boy can defeat him to King, which is, we know, the strongest character feat-wise in the story currently and from the voice entry. Think about it, this still pains me to put the only man with 2 Delvert abilities, Blackbeard, and the man I believe to have the strongest Haki, Shanks, above him. It definitely pains me. Kaido might not be Pirate King level, like his former captain Roxy Zebek, or his fellow crewmate and Yonko Prime Whitebeard, or the hero of the Marines Prime Garp, and of course Pirate King Goldie Roger. But he was a character who truly believed in the strongest runs the world,